Welcome to the Momentum Builder Podcast, hosted by Don Goettling, bringing you the top professionals, real stories, and proven success secrets that create unstoppable momentum. This is the show for housing professionals who want clarity, not clicks, where action, discipline, and consistency turn into real results. Top professionals, real momentum, real success. Let's get it started.
Welcome to the Momentum Builder Podcast, where we bring leaders, coaches, innovators, top professionals who are helping you build momentum in business and in life. That is the key. And today's conversation is something that affects all of us in our success. It's the decisions we make. And our guest, Matt Votisek, a people developer. I love that. Not like just a coach, a people developer. So you want to pay attention because I believe you're people. He's the executive coach, leadership consultant who has spent more than a decade helping professionals better understand themselves. Heaven forbid. We all need that. Strengthen their leadership and make decisions that create lasting growth. Matt believes that better lives are rarely created by one dramatic breakthrough. They're created by better decisions made consistently. I know Matt and I talked about that, by people who understand who they are. So today we're going to explore self-awareness. Don't get nervous out there. We all need it. Decision-making, leadership, and how small choices can change the direction of your career, company, and life. Matt, welcome to the Momentum Builder Podcast, buddy.
Thanks so much, Don. I appreciate the introduction. With all of that, man, can you just follow me around the world and please do that everywhere I go?
Yeah, whenever you go on stage, I'll just, I'll be your front man.
How about in the morning?
I'll be your huckleberry.
You just kind of wake up like that? Is that okay?
Right?
Yeah, I'll just call you
be at the end of your bed.
Yeah,
and
fine.
Introducing you to today, Matt Votisek.
That's it, man. That's awesome.
That's funny.
Appreciate all that.
Yeah, and obviously I can't get enough of you, Matt. We have, just so you know, and thank you for tuning in to the Momentum Builder Podcast. And if you don't, Don Goettling, I've been in the mortgage and real estate industry and an investor for over 40 years. And now my give back is Momentum Builder. Our goal is to help you grow personally and financially. And we're doing that by surrounding myself by great professionals like Matt that are going to help us with that. It's not all about the Don Show. It's really about aligning the best coaches, the best tech, the best events, the best workshops, everything you need, because that's what I needed to grow, and I didn't have it. So now I'm bringing it to you. We're creating an ecosystem, a community. We have our podcast, we have our website, we have events, workshops. Our event, October 6th through the 8th. It's going to be game-changing, and we align ourselves with great people like Matt. And Matt, I really appreciate you taking time out of your day. And I love the topic we talk about because, yes, all of you out there, like, I know what coaches always say and this, that, but there's a difference. And you really want to pay attention today and you want to share this because this is going to be enlightening. Like you said, Matt and I get on the phone and it's 2 hours later. And it's supposed to be like, a half hour to an hour, and 2 hours later, we're still talking. I'm getting in my car. Let's keep the conversation going. So before we get going, I always like for our listeners and our YouTubers to know a little bit more about Matt, where you live, your family, hobbies, and what the hell made you have the decision to become a coach. And we'll go into what it is, because you're not just a leadership coach. You're not just a sales coach. You're so much more than that, but you decided to go and help others.
Yep. Yeah, man. No, let's see. So, lots to unpack here, but basically I live right now close to Seattle, and I've been raising my daughter up here, and it's been a wonderful, almost 9 years up here. I came from California. For anybody that senses, wait a second, this guy doesn't sound like he's from California. I was originally born in the Chicago area. So
there it is. I was hinting. I was hearing that.
Yeah, there's a little bit in there occasionally. So there's that. And then, you know what? I started my first business when I was 7 years old. I always say I was doing sales and leadership before I even knew what the heck that was. Right. And so it's just in me. I love people. I always have. I love helping people. But after a lot of years in sales, what kept happening as I did well is one of a couple things, as you and I talked about, Don. You either get you get promoted, right? They make you a manager. Okay. And that's always different than a leader. And we can talk about that later, but
Mhm.
you start as a manager, right? And then, the other option is they just say, hey, you know what, Matt, can you help out so and so? They're not doing as well as you are, or whatever. And would you mind kind of figuring out? And so over the years, I've trained in every single job. I was thinking about this recently, and I literally have a through line through my entire life and career where every single job I've helped people in some capacity. And so it's in different ways. And so that's why I call myself a people developer, because that's really what I've been doing for my whole life.
Yeah,
And so,
I love that, Matt, because it's
yeah,
not just, you're an executive coach or a sales
right,
coach or a leadership consultant.
right,
It's a different spin on things. That's why I love having you on
right.
the show today. And I'm
Yeah.
glad you're listening, those of you, because it's really unique what Matt brings apart. We have actually some actionable steps that I do want
Hmm.
to touch on,
Yeah.
because you have certain categories, you have certain categories also of who you coach and how you coach them.
Hmm.
But the biggest thing that I love, and I
Mm.
think it's one of the biggest challenges I see with all the
Hmm.
interviews I do with our industry, with the salespeople,
Yeah.
and all that is right now. And I'm gonna, kick the ball, tee this up right away for
All
you.
right, let's
Is
do it.
that it is the apathy, the fact that many are not making a decision.
Right.
They have good intentions.
Yeah.
They want to improve their personal and professional lives, but they don't make the decision to take action.
All right. So let's
And
talk
you are an
about that.
expert at that.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
this is
So
your
let's
your
so
forte.
so let's talk about that. So here's what happens. Okay. I got into personal development, all this stuff, right? Long time ago. Long time ago. I always want to get better. I'm always trying to improve myself. And as I got into it, you can't help but get into this world in any capacity. Okay. And any good leader uses this word vision. We
Mhm.
got to have a vision. You got to create a vision. All right. What's a vision? A vision is a collection of goals, right? You take a step back, you look at your life, you look at your professional goals, you look at your personal goals, maybe physical, maybe your family, your amount of friends, the time you spend with your
Finances,
friends, the what?
finances.
The finances, you look at things you want to do, what do you want to do at work? What do you want to do outside of work? Okay, I'm still trying to master golf. It's been 30 years. We
Good
could
luck
talk
on that.
about that. It's a whole separate podcast, I'm sure.
Right.
Okay, we're going to leave that there.
Yeah,
Uh,
we need to.
but, at any rate, and so you're supposed to create this vision, right? And this is not something that I created. This is something that's really well documented, right? It's a big deal. And so you create a vision board, the best of the best, take the time, they sit back, they think through the different aspects of their life, they write it down, right? Ideally, if you haven't written it down, write it down. Okay. It's a way different thing when you actually have it written down. And then you create what's called a vision board, right? We know what a vision board is.
We've
So
all heard about
we've
that.
all heard these terms, right? Now you take
We
pictures.
even your boss gets you to do, or your
Right.
managers get you to do
Right.
arts and craft day when you
Right.
build
So you
your
have arts and crafts day, and you
right,
print out
right.
pictures and
We've all been there.
magazines and all. Right. Remember
Yeah,
magazines?
here's a
Okay.
picture of
Uh,
me with a six pack. Here's the picture of
right.
my multi-million-dollar home.
That's correct. Right. And so you create this image. And the idea is that you look at that, and the science is that it embeds into your
It
subconscious
does.
and
Manifestation.
it helps you achieve. Okay.
Mhm.
So, but here's the thing that I learned. So here's what happens. So the idea is you go from having your vision, okay, to immediately going from vision to action. Like I got to act. Okay. And that's, the next step is now that I know what I want, what's your plan? Right. The best managers, leaders, parents, I can hear my dad in my head. Well, that's a good goal. What's your plan? Right. Okay.
Right. What's your
So what
plan?
do you do? Right. So for a long time, yes, I've sat down, made my plans, and okay, step after step. But here's what happens. Let's get real about what happens here. What
I know
happens
where you're
is
going. I know where you're
you start
going.
doing it. You start going, right? And we all have this story. Anybody that's achieved anything, okay, ever in the history of the world, anybody listening to this, you've achieved something. Think about this with me for a minute. Okay, what happens? the internet and books and all this stuff want you to believe, okay, all you have to do to get to your goal, okay, that's part of your vision. If you're starting here, you see my hands, there we go. Okay, so you want to get here, I have my hand up here. Okay, you want to get here and you start here. And then all you have to do is just follow these steps. And just like the stairs in a house or anywhere, you just go step after step after step, and you just make this beautiful progression from where you are to where you want to be, right? And that's perfect. That would be awesome. But what's the reality? The
Life.
reality is it's not like that. Okay. I was talking to a guy the other day that I thought had we're talking about this exact moment. And in fact, it's Gino, Gino. And Gino had a great word that I thought was perfect for this, because when I describe this, I'm going to show everybody here what that line actually looks like, but I'm going to use Gino's word after. Okay. So here's what happens. So the reality is you start here, you go here, but what happens is it's not this, it's this spaghetti thing.
Right.
Okay. It looks like spaghetti. And because what starts to happen is you literally go from, okay, I got it. Let's go. Come on. We all say that, right? Let's go. Let's do it. All right, let's jump in. Let's dive in. Let's take the first step. Let's make it happen. Okay, we have all these phrases, right?
I'm
Good.
motivated.
Huh?
I'm motivated.
Yeah, I'm motivated. Oh, don't get me going.
Or we're going to talk about that.
Word. That's a whole separate 30 minutes.
No, we'll touch on that because that's part of my vocabulary. So go ahead.
All right. So here's what happens. So here you are, you take those steps, and all of a sudden the problem is that, man, we all know something doesn't go right. One of those steps was harder than you thought. In business, you run out of money. Startups run out of money. Something was too expensive. We had to try a different thing. Okay. Loan officers, real estate agents, we all have different things as we're trying to accomplish. Man, there's different hurdles, right? And I always think of them as hurdles, right? Because a hurdle you can jump over. All right, good. It's a good mindset. That's a good thing, right? To think about. Objections, just like we say in sales, objection handling, right? We call it objection handling. So by hitting objection, I can handle it. Okay. But here's the thing. Sometimes when you get going, it gets too hard, right? And then you say, whoa. And you sit back and you say, whoa, this is getting hard. And maybe you go get together with a friend or a colleague or somebody, and you go sit and have a beer somewhere, and you say, man, I was trying to do this and it didn't happen, right? It's not working the way I thought. And so here's what I learned over all the years is that there's one thing that you have to do, that we all have to do if you really want to be able to survive that path. Okay. And that is that you have to be able to make a decision. Okay. So what you have to do is you have to go from vision to decision. Okay. Because what's that decision about? That decision is about success. It's about getting there. It's about being that top producer. It's not just about imagining yourself as the top guy or top woman, top whatever, okay? Standing on the stage and accepting the Mortgage Advisor of the Year award goes to, all right, we did it. Yeah. All right. It's not just imagining that. And that's powerful. It's part of it.
It is powerful, but reading the book, The Secret's not getting you there.
That's it, right? You have to make a decision. So if anybody listening remembers anything I say, it's these 4 words right here, which is success is a decision. And it's all in how you decide. And there's a specific order and there's questions, and I developed them over years. Okay. After reading and trying and coaching after 11 and a half years and being a sales leader and store manager, I've done everything. I've had every title you can think of. Okay. I've been every form of leader that you can call somebody. And I can tell you from my own experiences that it's the people that make the decision to succeed that actually survive that path and achieve success in whatever that goal is.
Okay, so I want to slow you down right there, just because I love this. I love the progression, and you're being real. And I hope all of you listening or watching, you realize this is reality. This is
This is
not
my life too,
pie
guys.
in the
It's like, yeah,
sky. I love this because everybody goes, just like you said, here's the steps. We're going to give you all
yeah,
the steps and you just walk over the rainbow. Reality sets in. And like I said, I've had
yep,
a lot of salespeople working for me, and
yeah.
the cyclical and
Oh
there's
yeah,
things that you have no control over, like some of those things. So
sure.
how do you reset? I mean, you
Yeah,
have your decision, you want to get from A to
yeah,
Z, but there's setbacks. So
yep,
how do you keep, or what
yep.
decisions do you make to keep that
Ah,
progression
so here,
going?
okay. So let's talk about one of the key pieces of the decision process. And one of the key questions you have to sit back and ask yourself. You have to be very, very intentional about it. Okay. Is you have to, whenever you set that goal, whatever that goal is, that's part of your vision. Okay. And everything starts as a goal. And then you ask yourself the questions, and now you make a decision about whether or not you're really going to go for it. Okay. Whether
Okay.
you're really going to do it, because you have to make that decision. Okay. And it has to be rock solid. Like, that's why I keep doing that. Okay. You have to decide. So, one of the key things to really think about is sit back and say, okay, why? Why is this so important? Now, there's a trap here that I want to be I want everybody to be very, very careful about, which is there's a lot of literature about and stuff out there about starting with why. There's a wonderful book by Simon Sinek. Okay,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
got to start with why. He's right.
Mhm.
Okay, but what I've learned and what I've seen and what I've lived is, man, you can't just have one why. Okay, now let's talk about why you can't have just one why. Okay, the reason is because as you start going, if as you start hitting stuff, if you only have one reason for doing what you're about to do, and you have these things coming at you, and you have moments that are setbacks, or you're starting to question yourself, or you got what we always call in the industry head trash, right? You got stuff going on, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Somebody says that to you, and you start questioning it. How do you push through that is really what you're asking, right?
Yes, I am.
How
Yeah.
you push through that is you got to keep asking yourself why. All right. So one of the lines I wrote in the King of Success book that launched last year, I want everybody to write down if you're listening to this. Okay. If you have anywhere, type it, write it anywhere you can. The wise, the wise have many whys. Okay. The reason I say that is because what? Go ahead. I saw you smile, Don. What are you
No,
gonna say?
no, I'm curious now. I want to,
Okay.
because we
Because
didn't talk
here's the
about the mini whys.
So you have to have so many whys. You have to keep asking yourself, okay, so whatever that goal is, why do I want to achieve that? Okay? Let's use the example of being the top loan officer. Okay? So, I want to be a top loan officer. I'm imagining myself on stage. I'm accepting the award. They're handing it to me. Oh my god. Yes, I crushed it. I did it. Awesome. Why is that so important? Why is that moment so important? Why else is that important to be the top person? What would you do with what do you get? Why is that important? Okay? Why? And keep going. And people always ask, well, man, how many whys do I need? Man, you need as many as you can come up with. Okay? The reason is, and here's the other key, you have to have more because the reasons. Well, let me explain what a reason is real quick. We answer the question why, what we come up with, and what we end up with is a reason.
Okay, that's is key. This is the
Okay.
difference between a why and manifestation. It's a
Right.
reason.
It's now a reason because when I say why do I want to accomplish a goal, when I answer that question, that becomes a reason.
Now we're
Okay.
talking.
And
Mhm.
you have to have more reasons than excuses.
I love this. Okay, repeat that. I hope you're listening. This is something I really loved when we were talking about.
Yeah.
It just so much easier to visualize and accept than, oh, because a lot
Yeah.
of coaches do the whole, just follow this and we're going to make the,
Right.
manifest and all that stuff. But I love you need more reasons than
Yep.
excuses, because excuses will happen
Yep.
and they will be there and they will be a distractor.
Oh
And I
yeah.
love that you create reasons so that you can
Right.
get through the excuses, because the
Exactly.
excuses are what's going to stop you.
Excuses happen all the time.
Yeah.
Now the question is why do excuses happen in the first place? That one really got to me when I was starting to think, look, dive into this a lot of years ago and really look at like, what is the science behind this? What's going on with us as a human? Why are we, what is this? Okay. Why did these things happen? Why do we have all these, excuses pop up? Like, for example, and we could all relate to this, right? Well, I should go to the gym. I got to go work out today. It's workout
90%
day.
of everybody is like, yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Whoa, come on, right? And maybe you got a buddy and that helps, right? You got a workout partner and that kind of motivates you. Man, I hate that word. Let me tell you the reason, okay? What starts to happen is that motivation may get you there, but it likely isn't going to keep you there.
100%. Okay. So I
Okay.
have to piggyback on that because hopefully you guys
There it
can-
is.
Yep. This is
Yep.
part of our,
Okay.
literally our slogan is more than motivation, because motivation doesn't last.
Right. Motivation doesn't last is the key thing. It may get you there. It'll feel good in the moment. It'll maybe, if I got a guy bigger than me yelling at me, come on, as I'm trying to bench put a couple extra plates on, and he's yelling at me and putting me down and talking trash to me, I'm going to do it in spite. Right. We all do it. That's the motivation. But the next workout, and maybe every other workout, when that trainer just gave me the free session, he was there and that was great. Now he's not there. And so now what happens? So we have to have more reasons than excuses. But let me go back a second and let's talk about the reason that this actually occurs. Okay, this is so key to understand, which is humans are not wired for success.
What?
Right. Isn't that crazy? So here's the thing that I mean. What that really means, right, is if I wake up and I set the goal, I'm going to be the top producer, I'm going to be the top loan agent in my industry, in Southern California, in all of California, in all the world, whatever the goal is. Okay? And you make that decision. You sit down and you come up with your reasons. And you decide you have all these reasons. Okay? Those reasons help you with something else, which is you have to push through. We all have to push through this amazing force, and it comes at us every single day. Okay, that force is survival. Okay, we have to push against that, because if we don't, remember what I said, we're all wired for survival. We're not wired for success. So if I want to achieve something that is not just sitting on my couch watching Netflix, which is survival, right? Well, can somebody wake up, sit on their couch and watch, you name the streaming service, okay, all day long? Absolutely. Perfect. No problem. And you know what? Your body's wired for survival. What do I mean by that? Well, you know what? While I'm sitting there watching Netflix, I may skip breakfast. I might skip lunch, but at some point, my body's going to go, hey, we're getting hungry. Guess what that is? That's survival. We need food. We need nutrients. Hey, I'm getting thirsty. Oh, man, that's right. That's survival. But you cannot succeed without making a decision about it. Okay? Because you have to push through that force. And that force is kind of like that path, right? Part of that path you're going to go on.
So
so you've got to be able to do it.
Let me kind of
Sure.
put this in a little context for our listeners and YouTubers. Is totally articulate what you're sharing, but one of the things that a lot of you will appreciate, and we talked about it, Matt, already, is that it's not that you don't have good intentions.
Correct.
You have strong intentions. And we talked about the analogy of somebody's like, hey, usually when you decide, you're sitting at night and you're like, I'm going to eat better. I'm going to be a better husband. I'm going to work out more. Whatever it is, I'm going to be a top producer. Usually it's when you're comfortable in your bed, survival, sitting in your bed, all nice and comfy and everything. I'm going to do it. And then the alarm goes off and then life gets in the way. So, we have good intentions. So how do we get through those good intentions to actually make something happen?
Let me show you something. Let me just give you an observation of what you just said and how you said that, Don. Okay. You said it perfectly. All right. Because you said, I'm going to. And that's an intention. You're right.
Yep.
I'm not talking about intention. I'm talking about making the decision.
That's
Okay.
the differentiation I wanted you
So,
to help clarify, because
okay.
without a doubt, a lot of you out there have great intentions. I believe that. We've all had it where like,
Yeah.
oh, I had intended to do it, but it just didn't work out as well as
Okay.
I wanted.
So instead of intending to do it, instead of saying I'm going to do it, which is great, that's wonderful. I want you to just simply say, I am. That's it. That's that simple little thing. Okay. So instead of, let me give you a real life example. Going back to, so instead of saying, I'm going to be the top producer, I am the top producer. Just say that in your head for a second. Say the difference there. Notice the difference as you either say it in your head or say it out loud. You guys are listening on YouTube. I talk to YouTube all the time. You guys talk to YouTube? I talk to YouTube. All right. You can say it out loud. All right. Just say it anywhere you are. The difference is that you literally say, I am the top producer. I am in the best shape of my life. I am. And that changes because what changes is this, it goes from intention to your identity.
That is huge. I want to touch on, because I've lived this, and I want to give like,
Me too.
because a lot of you are out there like, oh, I get it, but like a lot of you know, I race professional motocross, and recently
Yeah.
I decided that my goal was to be a top 10 in my age group in the world, like top 10 in the
Awesome.
world.
Yeah.
So I had to train my butt off, but one of the differences in my mindset that made a difference in my results is initially, because I hadn't raced in 18 years professionally, I want to be, I'm going to be. And then once I raced and got top 10, the next couple times, I identified myself as I'm a top 5 racer. I know that
Right.
now. And the
Yep.
next 2 races, I got top 3, because
See?
my identity changed from hoping to be top 10, maybe
Yep.
I'll be top 10, to no. And I did everything needed to be that person. So
Yes.
I think that's where you're going.
That is, well, see, what happens is now when you have that identity, okay, that's so important because you're not even, again, pick apart the words here for a second. We're not saying we're going to try. We're not saying I would like to. We're not saying I want to be. We're saying I am. It's very different. And it puts your body and your mind in a different state. Okay. And so your subconscious, which is the much bigger part of our brains, right? The analogy that we always use in our world is think of a iceberg, right? And the iceberg that, the Titanic ship saw coming. Well, not really. That was the whole issue. Anyway, didn't see
Oops.
was the fact that they saw this piece. Well, what's
Right.
below the surface is this big, huge piece of the ice, right? And our brains are the same way. The subconscious is the big part below the surface, right? The conscious part is, hey Don, what do you want to eat what do you want to eat for lunch? You want Mexican or Italian? You pick. What would you pick?
I picked,
Right now,
said right now Mexican. It was Italian yesterday.
it was Italian yesterday when we talked. You got it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, let's go Mexican today. Okay. That's the conscious part. The subconscious part is where we record everything, where all of a sudden, that's the reason having a vision board, or as actually I prefer to call it, because I prefer to say, make the vision board after you've made the decision. So make your decision and then make a decision board.
That's
Okay. Make a
powerful.
board that's this is what I'm doing. This is I'm not I don't want to.
Well, I
Okay.
like that you're putting
I've decided to.
you're putting action behind it. Like,
Right.
not hope. It's an action behind it, which
Yes.
changes your mentality. So I like how you're putting this, and I hope you understand this, because this isn't pie in the sky. I know a lot of times you're like, oh, you bought somebody, like, oh, just make a decision. No, it's making you take action and have action in your mindset versus,
Yeah.
I painted a pretty picture. How come it's not manifesting?
Right.
You
Well,
have to make a decision and take action.
well, the other thing that's also something I had to learn the hard way too, early on, is there's sometimes a focus on, well, man, how? How am I going to do that? Like, how am I going to be the top producer? How am I going to be the top agent, the top loan officer in the world? How am I going to do? How am I going to be the top motocross guy? How am I going to? I mean, I don't even know how to do this. Why am I? What the heck? Okay, last year I wrote a book. I was hoping it would do well. Okay, but then I thought, no, you can't hope. You have to decide. what do you want it to do? I want it to be a bestseller. Okay. And I thought, all right, now wait a minute. I don't want it to be a bestseller. I decided to make it a bestseller. Okay. A big distinction.
Big
And,
distinction.
and I can tell you something that was crazy, crazy. It became a bestseller. Okay. I didn't, I knew it. I decided it. I didn't know how. I had never written a book before. I had never published a book before. I had never thought about. I published it with Amazon and their Kindle program. Okay, and why? Because Amazon's the big, Kindle is the biggest publisher in the world. That's interesting, right?
Right.
Okay, so how do I publish on here? They're the biggest, and I want to have a bestseller. How do I do that? Right? But that was all a result of after I made the decision. Because here's the distinction. Once you make the decision, and the craziest part is the how appears. The how kind of figures itself out. Okay. Our brains are wired our subconscious is wired to figure out that once we know the goal, it'll help us figure out the how. So don't worry about the how. Don't worry about the fact that you've never written a book before. What makes you think you can be a bestseller? That's again the stuff that you got to push through. Okay. Now in that case, I always, I was thinking that I think I told you this the other day, Don. At the last minute, I go to bed the night before the book goes live, and I'm laying there, my head hits the pillow, and here comes the head trash, right? Which is, oh man, what if it doesn't work? What if it doesn't sell? What if it's not? And I thought, okay, I need a backup plan. So instead of the king of success, I decided that if the book doesn't do what I think it'll do, then I'll retitle the book The King of Mediocrity. All right. That was my decision in that moment. All right. But you know what happened? I laughed and I went to bed, and I knew in my head, I knew what it was. I knew that I already made the decision. The odds of it happening were stacked in my favor. And it's the same thing over and over and over again. So the key point is, don't worry about the how. A lot of people get stuck in the how. Well, here's my goal, but I've never done it before. How am I going to do that? And then you get other people and sometimes it's people that are close to you and they love you and they mean it in a loving way and they care about you, but they say things like, hey, you've never done that before. What makes you think you can do that? And that gets in our head. And you know what helps us again? Once again, this is where it goes full circle. What helps you push through all that is your reasons. It's your identity, and it's the reasons that back up the identity.
I love that how you've broken this all down, and hopefully you enjoyed this because Matt's making it really clear and a little different spin on what we have heard in the past about your why, make a plan and all that. But I love that you're giving specificity to it, meaning it has to be very specific, not just a dream. And I don't, a lot of us are dreamers out there, but if you put some actions behind it. So how can they find out more about, because what I like is obviously, the steps, how to help people push through to accomplish their goals, not your goals, their goals. Right. How can they find out more about you? How can they get connected with your coaching? Because I know you coach different levels. You coach leadership. You have I love it. I'm going to regurgitate what you basically told me, but you have two systems. One's a crush it through sales program, and you have a crush it for sales leader programs.
You got it.
So I love that you break the two. They're completely different animals. I don't care what anybody says. Yeah. And a top salesperson becomes a leader, and then what? Believe me, they don't have a clue how to be a leader. So these type of things are huge. So how can they find out more about you or get your assistance to make decisions and therefore accomplish their goals?
Man, let me make it really simple. Let's just talk. Okay. If something I said resonated with you,
you don't like to talk.
If there's what?
You're shy. You don't like to talk.
Who? What are we talking about?
Right?
You don't know me at all, Don.
You're just passionate. It's called passion because I'm no different. And people are like, you just go. I'm like, no, we get passionate behind what we believe in and how we like to help people. You're a people helper too, not just a people developer. Correct. And that's key. That's really key. And I see that. And that's why I love having you part of our Momentum Builder community, because you're just going to add value and fun.
I appreciate that.
You're a good dude, and you're fun and real. and you belong in our community. And I just dig on that. And I'd like more people to know how to connect with you too.
Simple, very simple. All you have to do is go to my website, which is my first name and last name .com. Right. So it's Matt.
Spell it out. Yep.
Yeah,
There
it's
we go.
MATT V like Victor OTISEK. Okay, so just go to mattvotisek.com, and right there you're going to see my picture, and it's going to just scroll down. It's going to say I'm Matt Votisek. I'm a people developer, which is it. That's my identity. Okay, we talked about identity, right? So that's my identity, and just scroll down, and you're going to see a button that says "Let's talk," and all you do right there is click that button, and it goes right to the calendar. You pick a time that works for you, and let's do it. That's as simple as that.
And I love that you have conversations. So, because we talked about that when I talked about, well, who do you coach, what you charge, all that. And you're like, it depends. And it's very reasonable when we talked about, believe me, it's something that like all of us should have a coach. I believe in that. I have coaches. Matt's becoming my coach, whether he likes it or not, because I get to talk to him and stuff. And I receive value from it already. Just hearing from you. And I'm like, this is good stuff. Because we all have challenges. I'm trying to create this behemoth of a momentum builder. And I love hearing these steps that we need to take and stuff. You've helped out a really good friend of mine for 15 years now with his personal and business development. I know he's been very successful because of it. So I hope more reach out to you, because anyone listening don't underestimate the power of your next decision.
That's right. That's right. And remember that no matter what you want to succeed at, just remember, like I said earlier, 4 words: success is a decision. You have to make the decision.
Mic drop.
That's it. That's it, man. And as long as you do, and if you do it the right way, and you answer the questions the right way, okay, you do it's literally, and you make that decision. Because here's the thing. Here's the last thing I'm going to say, okay, which is this. Think about it. When you're in that mindset, okay, you said, oh, yeah, I am the top producer. Notice that, right? You kind of feel like that. I am it, right? I'm that. And then you know what? It's over. It's over before it even begins. Because you know why? Because I've already decided. I've already made the decision. I am the top producer.
Very motivating.
That's
buddy.
it, man.
Motivating, but with realistic steps and processes, because you got to believe in the process. I believe in that wholeheartedly, because when I was training for motocross, believe me, it wasn't just a straight line. Like you said, it wasn't just, oh, you're going to be the top 10 by just doing these steps. I had setbacks. I crashed my brains out in the hospital. I had rough days. I had hot days. I mean, you just don't know. It rained the day before the race. You just don't know. But if your mindset's in the right place and you have reasons and you believe in the process, you can accomplish your goals. And I really appreciate you being on our show to help with that.
Well, and so look at what you just said. Okay. Literally what you just said is you started here, you wanted to go here, and that line wasn't like this.
The spaghetti.
It's spaghetti, right? It's literally what happened. But the reason you became and the reason you achieved what you set out to achieve is because even if you didn't think of it like it in the moment, you did actually make a decision. And your decision was, here's the level of success I want.
Well, it changed everything I did because of that decision. Because if I just said, and hear me out, this, like I said, I don't like to do pie in the sky for you, but this is really important because I'm living proof. Like I walked the walk. And when I wanted to get back into racing after 18 years not racing professionally, and professional level is a different ball game, completely different than amateur. And I'm like, well, for me to be a top 10 and saying I'm top 10, if I would have just said, I'm going to go race again, I'm going to do as best as I can, I would have just done okay. I just know it. By saying, no, I want top 10. And in my head, I know what a top 10 level requires.
In your head.
It changed my whole plan.
See, but in your head, you knew it. And in your head, your subconscious knew it.
Yes.
Okay. That's the point. So
it helped me get through the 116-degree heat days of training and soreness and all that.
So if I can go back 1 second and go back to something you asked earlier about how I actually became a coach and all that, the quick story, okay? So here I am. I'm going through my career. I've been blessed to have a lot of success in sales. Okay. And those were decisions, but there's also a little bit of luck. Let's just face the facts, right? So I feel very blessed and I've always done well, which has been great. Okay. But I got to a point to where I'd been training so many people and coaching so many people kind of on the side that I kind of went, you know what? I really want to do this. I've wanted to do this for a while. I'm going to actually do this professionally. Okay. And so literally, I made the decision and I said, okay, so that's it. I'm going to do it. Why? Because I've always wanted to do it. There was a guy that inspired me in my early 20s. That's a separate conversation. But I saw this guy on stage in a training and I was like, oh, that's me. I can see it. Okay. And it's very similar. And I was like, oh, I could just kind of totally envision it. I was like, wait a minute, I want to do that someday. Well, that day came, and I finally said, you know what? I'm going to go for this. I'm doing this. And so I made the decision. And so I literally said, here's what I said out loud. I am walking around the dog park right next to the place where my wife and I were living. I've got my little dog who's here in the room with me. Her name is Rosie. Okay. And she and I are walking along, and I'm saying out loud, I'm Matt Votisek, and I'm a sales and leadership coach. I'm Matt Votisek. I'm a sales and leadership coach. Was I a sales and leadership coach at that point? I was not. Okay. I was absolutely not. But you know what? I made that decision. That was my identity that went along with that decision. And sure enough, I came back from that. I called up an old friend because I didn't know how, but I had already made my decision. So now it's time to figure it out. And what came to me is, oh, this woman that used to be my admin in one of the jobs I had has gone on to this amazing career working as an amazing recruiter, done very, very well. And so I called her up and we had lunch the next day. And I said, where am I now looking? And she says, oh, if you want that, she says, if you really want that, I can tell you do. She said, you got to look at Craigslist. Craigslist for my career? You mean where they sell all the stuff I don't want to sell is where I'm going to find the next move in my career, in my life? And she says, yeah. And I go, okay. And I went back home and I typed in sales and leadership coach and a result popped up. One result. And I went after that company and I got that job. And why did I get that job in my view? Because I already made the decision. Nice. And that's what got me in to this world in a professional way. But it's that, notice what happened in the story. Okay. And the key is I made the decision. Number one, and then I accepted that as my identity. I didn't say I want to be a coach, which is true. I said, right. I am a sales and leadership coach. I'm Matt Votisek. I'm a sales and leadership coach. And I'm going to tell you guys a side note and a key thing that if you are going to talk out loud in a public park, it is ideal to bring a little dog with you because everybody else thinks you're just talking to the dog. Just saying.
There's your tip of the day.
That's it.
You're like, I listen to this podcast and I know when I want to talk to myself, I bring a dog.
That's it.
Well, thank you, Matt. Thank you for your energy, your enthusiasm, the process, the step, how you break things down is wonderful for us because a lot of you listen to our podcast because you want to improve personally and professionally. And I love that you had the steps. I love that they can now reach out to Matt Votisek and
anytime.
I know you're going to be contributing to our community, and it's been great having you on the show. Great getting to know you, and thank you for being on the Momentum Builder podcast. Again, follow us through YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, all the good stuff. Look for Momentum Builder. We're everywhere because we're there for you. Remember, momentum isn't given; it's built.
That's right. And thanks so much, Don. I appreciate everything and you guys, and I can't wait to be part of this community. I feel like I already am, so I appreciate all of that. And to everybody out there, like I said, 4 words: success is a decision, and you have to decide. That's the reality. All right.
Thank you for deciding for being on our call today.
Absolutely.
And share with your friends. This is great stuff. Thank you, Matt. And we'll see you on the next podcast.
Sounds great. Thanks, Don. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. Go make it happen.
You've been listening to the Momentum Builder Podcast. For resources and next steps, check the show notes. If today's conversation brought you value, please rate and review the show. It helps more professionals like you to find it. because this isn't about motivation for motivation's sake. It's about creating real momentum. We'll see you next time.